Well, I've seen it all now. I've seen lots of Philips equipment from the 60s, particularly tape recorders or cassette decks, where the belts have just gone to, well, like licorice shoelaces, really, and they're quite often lying in sort of repulsive eclair icing like slops in the bottom of the case. Now, this one had a different variation of that. The pinch roller had gone like that, and there was nothing for it but to change it. But there was an added complication because the old wreck I had hadn't quite got the same mechanism. It was an earlier one which only had the one button to do everything. The sort like an EL3302 where you push it up to get playback, pull it back to where it was for stop, and then one way or the other for your fast forward and rewind. And the pinch roller wasn't carried in quite the same shape fitting as the one on this, and there it is. That's the one for one of these, and you can see the little pin on its left. That's part of the pause mechanism, and my earlier machines didn't have that or the hole for it, so you can't use it, because if you do, your pause won't work. I can show you too something about the automatic stop system on these. A lot of cassettes, they've got a little white lever there, little white plastic moulding, and there's a lever comes along somewhere under here, and what happens is the tape gets tense at the end because this spool runs out, the feed spool, and the capstan here is still trying to pull it through, so it pulls the lever up, ka-chunk. The system employed on here is rather different. Under the take-up spool is this faceplate, and under the actual reel itself, a tiny little set of contacts. Now, when it's running, they make a constant signal as they turn through here. Constant electronic signal is sent to the motor control module, which you can just see the edge of there. Should the spool cease to turn for any reason, reaches the end of the tape, or the tape's badly wound, the control module doesn't get its signal anymore and immediately shuts off before it eats your tape. It doesn't release the buttons. I suppose it would have been easy enough to have engineered that with a big solenoid or something to move the locking plate underneath over. It would have made a rather satisfying crash like an 8-track did when it changed channel. But, wow, it's still a lot better than that Japanese system was. Anyway, I've got some more oiling and greasing up to do. The grease I use, same stuff I use on the model trades, on the gearboxes, because it's very high quality stuff. Just be careful when you do oil and grease that you don't do it too much, because the stuff has a habit of finding its way into things that it shouldn't. Usually, of course, after you've put the machine back together again, and usually when you're either going to demonstrate it to somebody or even send a film up to YouTube. Lady Fortune will vomit on you again from a great height. Or that's my experience. This must be quite an elderly piece of kit. Look at these output transistors. Probably early 70s. I've seen 3 of these in recent weeks, and they were all slightly different, oddly enough. Oh, hang on a minute. This one's got a little date. It says 01/6/1972. I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but I'll give it a go. You might just be able to make out the lettering 1972 there. So it's getting on a bit, this whole thing. Anyway, all I've got to do now, put it all back together again, try it while it's like this, and then finally assemble it, I hope. Found these rather nice old Philips speakers at the boot sale yesterday, and it says Philips made in Holland on them. They're not Far East of rubbish like most of their stuff now is. Anyway, see you again soon.